My name is Shahriar. I'm the founder and CEO of RF Micron. I think we started the company back in 2006. Our solution is basically from silicon all the way through software, and we just a solution provider. Yeah, so I was born in Tehran, and I left Tehran right around age 15. I went to a boarding school in Turkey. I was too young for that. I didn't speak a single word of Turkish. Beautiful place, by the way. Then I moved back to Tehran, finished my 10th grade, I believe, and then I moved to Paris, France. And France was a little bit challenging. Again, I didn't speak a word French. My dad was fluent, but I wasn't. Well, I think I've always known that I was going to be exactly what I was going to be, electrical engineer. Since childhood, what I liked was take radios, tear them apart. They had these calculus books, and it's all English. You open the book, and I don't understand a word of it, but I see all integral signs and calculus signs. So I had some affinity towards technology. My mom always wanted me to be a doctor, which I couldn't stand. But then basically I ended up being an engineer. At some point, right around sophomore year, when I really decided, well, you really need to get your stuff together. You really need to start studying. It wasn't until my PhD years that I really became obsessed with just kind of being number one, essentially. That's just my attitude. If you want to do something, you got to do it right, and you got to pour your heart in it, and you just do it because there's a purpose to it, not just because you want to get an A+ or a grade. There's something beyond that. Came to my cousin's house. I vividly remember I came to Austin with a beaten up car. I had absolutely nothing. I haven't seen him for 20 years, I think. He moved to United States in 1978, I believe. So they took me in, and I stayed with them. Very, very hard to find a job. I got a job as a test engineer, which is pretty much the lowest level that you can get a job, technology job at. So I stayed there and I worked, and I'm looking at, all I had to do was take a chip, put it in a machine, push a button, look at the screen, pass, okay, next. So imagine you do this every day. And I'm like, okay, I'm not doing this forever. I'm going back to school, and I want to get my PhD, and I'm going to finish it. Then I realized, you got to live your life the way you want to live. This is not what you want to be doing. Education is the way to do it. Of course, education with purpose is really what that's all about. And it takes a totally different mindset when you're leading something from scratch, and you're trying to take it into production, especially when you're working in a very small company. So, make the long story short, I was working long hours. And then when I was doing that, I was coming home. So let's put it this way. I wake up at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, 8 o'clock I was at work. Come home, without a break, right around 8 o'clock, have dinner with Parisa, and then start working on my thesis till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. That was my life for a span of 2 years, essentially. And the underlying point there was, I was never going to give up on the PhD. It's not that PhD is very important. It's what you do with it that's important. And at the same time, what the process is that's important. The point is, you do not give up on something that you believe in and you start, right? It's very easy to quit. I mean, it's simple to quit. All you have to do is say, oh, I'm not going to do it anymore. But that's something that I learned that you never do if you believe in something, if you have a purpose, and if you're doing something for some reason. And that reason is, since day one, since age 25, 26, I knew that I was going to start a company. So, if you want to get there, you got to get your ducks in order. You got to make sure that you get there and pay your dues, really. And along the way, you have a lot of people who get you there. One of the things that a lot of entrepreneurs and people who think they have accomplished a lot, which I don't, by the way, but when people think that they have accomplished a lot, and when they get to the next step, If they forget where they came from and how they got there, that's an issue. And that's where you have, I think at that point you start failing yourself. Because as I mentioned, to get here, to get to where I am, my purpose has always been start a company from scratch, and I'll talk about it shortly, but to get it to where I want to go, where I want to get, you don't get there by yourself. I mean, you get there by your cousin who let you in when you don't have money, your brother paying your tuition when you don't have the money. I was pretty poor student because the situation back home, couldn't work here, and but somehow I managed it. I remind my kids this every single day, is that you got to remember where you came from, who helped you along the way. Even if that person is not helping you in a positive way that you think, they may be helping you in an indirect way. If somebody looks at you when you go out there and you're trying to accomplish something, they say, well, you just don't have what it takes. Well, that could be a motivation to you to say, well, you know what? You may not think so, but I want to show you, not show you, but I want to take it, internalize it, and see why you're saying that. And that could be propelling you into something a little bit different. It's not how much money you make, it's not what position you get, it's are you working on something that you're passionate about? Do you believe in it 100%? If you do, then make sure that you have the right people around you to get there. And family is one of the most important things that get you there. If you think you're accomplished and you have successes behind, under your belt, you become a little bit cocky. You think you can conquer the world. Okay, so you say, well, I've done it for this company. I made millions of dollars for this company. I'm going to do it for myself. Well, I have news for you. It's totally different. I mean, it's a humbling experience. And if you don't have thick skin and you don't believe truly in what you're doing, you'll not make it. So what we do is we're all about information. In the world, what you need is adequate information, ubiquitous information, means you can get information from everywhere, and then you can process it down the line somewhere with some sort of a algorithm that gives you the information you want, the data you need. So the premise is the company started based on a chip that doesn't require, it's a sensor chip. It doesn't require any battery. It works on a printable, it's a very, very tiny chip, 0.5 millimeters squared, if it means anything. It's like a grain of rice, if you will. You put it on an antenna, and then what you have is a sensor that gets turned on by radio frequency that's being transmitted from a central processing unit. It wakes up. It gets relevant information, moisture, pressure, temperature, humidity, gas, if you will, detection of gas, and it gives you the information back in a raw format. And then on the central processing unit, or in the central processing unit, we have different algorithms that is taking this raw data and gives it some meaning. Which means gives it, it can either make decision, it can tell you what the temperature is, for instance, if you're interested in those, in temperature, and it will structure the data and put it right at the edge of the network. So we take physical information from places that nobody can fathom getting because there's no battery. It's just a little tiny thing you can put inside all these walls, and you can talk to every single one of them every 5 minute, 2 minute, whatever interval that you want. Get all that information, amass it in a database, run your algorithm on it, make your decision, which is business logic in this case, and then have that information fully processed at the edge of your network. Yeah, so the advice is very simple. Believe in what you're doing. If you don't somebody a favor, or if you're doing something, don't expect something in return. Are you doing what you're doing because you want to make life better for people? You want to create a market that didn't exist? It's truly what I'm looking for. And are you making a difference in your society? I think the most important thing in life is believing in something and believing in a greater thing than yourself, and be passionate about it.